10 months ago, I fulfilled a lifelong dream, and I bought an island. Thank you. It's just off the northern tip of Borneo, right below the Philippines. Wow. And would you like to see a little video clip I just had made of it? So I discovered something really interesting after I bought this island it wasn't the reason why I bought it, but I discovered that the 4 most interesting words that you can say to somebody to start a conversation is, I bought an island. And I realized about 6 or 7 months ago, I was at a business dinner and I was sat right next to Kevin Harrington. Kevin Harrington is one of the original sharks from Shark Tank. And he's been like this wildly successful TV direct marketing guy. He's sold billions of dollars. And he gets pitched over 300 new product ideas every week. And I knew I was sitting next to him, and I thought, what in the world can I say to this guy to kind of engage him in a conversation? And so, I asked him what he was doing. He told me about his latest project. And then he said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I bought an island. And immediately, that's all we talked about for the next 20 minutes. And then I realized, wow, this is pretty interesting. This works for starting conversations. And so I went ahead and had a picture of the island put on my cell phone cover. So when I say, I bought an island, I can say, yeah, this is it right here. And then I say, I've tried this a couple times, and I'm batting about 95%. I say, yeah, I bought an island, and one of the cool things I'm doing on the island is that there's this amazing product, black cumin. I'm going to plant some black cumin seed on it. I don't know if you've heard of this, Sol. And they actually pay attention. Now, I know you can't do that yet, but you could do, I'm buying an island. And I'm planting black cumin seeds. So let me know if that works for you or not. But how many of you would like to know how I bought the island? Okay. What you have to do to get yourself into a position to buy an island. That's what I want to talk about. I bought that island by being an entrepreneur. Every person in this room, I don't know if you realize it, but every single one of you is an entrepreneur. A lot of people, I think, get into this business, and because of how inexpensive it is to start and all the support that you get, you kind of forget. You're an entrepreneur. This is your business. You are a real, live, breathing, walking entrepreneur. And I want you to say it with me. I am an entrepreneur. Ready? I am an entrepreneur. You are. And what I want to talk about today is what it takes. What are the fundamental things you need to do to be wildly successful as an entrepreneur? Because just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean you're going to make any money. Okay? So what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? An island buying entrepreneur. How about that? That's what we're going to talk about. So I've been blessed to be an entrepreneur for the last 30 years, and I've seen a lot of other things that entrepreneurs have done that have worked, that haven't worked. I was in YEO. It's a young entrepreneur organization for 20 years. You have to be under 40 and own a business that does over $1 million a year to qualify to get in, and I watched lots of my friends in that organization start companies and be really successful and start other companies and completely fail. And I learned a lot of lessons myself throughout the years. I was an investment banker for the last 10 years, and I've looked at 1,000 different business plans and companies that are growing and doing well and companies that are growing and then don't do well. And I think I've got a pretty good idea of what it takes, what are the things that that these guys that really become successful, what are the common traits they have? These are my observations. You can go Google a list, successful traits of entrepreneurs, and some of the things I'm going to talk to you about, you've heard before, you've seen about them, but I really want to drive them home today, make sure that you absolutely focus on these things as an entrepreneur in any business that you start, but especially as a RAIN entrepreneur. All right, you ready to get started? Here we go. First thing is strategy. Strategy. Now, the first couple things I'm going to talk about is going to be easy for you. But strategy will make or break your company as an entrepreneur. There's a really good business book out there that nobody's ever heard about called Why Smart Executives Fail. And it's this guy that wrote the book did a case study on really successful CEOs and entrepreneurs who had made hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they went and started another venture, a new business, and it failed, and he wanted to know why. Why did these really successful people fail? And the number one reason why they fail is they brilliantly execute the wrong strategy. So strategy is absolutely fundamental to being successful as an entrepreneur. No matter how good everything else is, if you execute the wrong strategy, you're not going to be successful. So let's talk about a couple of key things that are part of every winning strategy. One is the product. You got to get the right product. You got to sell that at the right time. The market's got to be right for it, and you have to have the right kind of compensation plan. And as an entrepreneur, I'm not talking specifically about the RAIN compensation plan. I'm talking about a compensation plan as an entrepreneur, how you attract talented people to work with you and stay with you. Your compensation plan for your employees, your partners, and so forth. We can apply that in a moment to the RAIN compensation plan, but you have to have that as part of your strategy. Some form, incentive compensation plan that's going to attract really talented people, because that's how you become successful, is by attracting really talented people. Well, okay, let's just touch on each one of these quickly. The right product. You know, everybody in here is smart and blessed by being involved with this company, because the health industry and the products that RAIN offers, that market segment is booming. And it's going to continue to boom. And this little stat that I have up here, 3 billion people are still unbanked. Well, what does that mean? Well, on this planet, we have 3 billion people that still don't have bank accounts. What does that have to do with the health industry and these products and everything else? Well, there's new technologies that are now emerging that are going to bring, I think, at least half of those people into the modern economy. People that are unbanked have a really difficult time participating in the modern economy, even if they have some money. And there's new technologies, Bitcoin's one of them, that are going to bring a lot of people. It's starting to happen right now. Now, what happens when you take 1 million to 2 million people over the next 5 years and you bring them into the modern economy? They become banked people. The whole global economy expands. Everybody does better. Everybody is making more money, right? And that's good, because when people start to make money, they start caring more about their health. It's the first thing they start looking to do, is how do I maintain and get myself healthier the minute they start making more money. So I've got a very optimistic view of where the planet's going in the next 5 years. There's some amazing technologies and things happening behind the scenes, and I think there's never been a better time to be involved in the health industry. So you need that. If you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, you need a product in a growing market, and you have that with the products that RAIN is working on. And not only do we have products that are in the right market, we have great products, as you know. And I don't need to talk about that in this presentation. All right, what about the right timing? So entrepreneurs all underestimate the importance of this, and they also underestimate how much it contributes to your success. How many of you here are old enough to remember the Apple Newton? Anybody remember that product? A few of you? That was a product that after Steve Jobs got thrown out of Apple in the early years, they introduced that product in 1993. It was a handheld computer, basically, but it wasn't a cell phone, but it was a handheld computer, and it was just a little bigger than this, and it was a complete failure, totally bombed. Great concept, great idea, great product, way ahead of its time. So a little sweet revenge, Steve Jobs came back, took over Apple, and 15 years later, he introduced the iPhone. Right timing. It was the right time for that product, and it's been wildly successful. So timing really doesn't have anything to do with you other than you're the lucky benefactor of it. And I'll just give you a personal example. I started this company called Teleshare back in the 90s. It was a telecom company, and the sector that I was in was just booming. And I am not exaggerating, but I have more business knowledge and experience in my pinky than I had in my entire body when I started that company. I didn't know anything. I mean, I really didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur. But the timing was good. The market was growing. The product was well accepted. Luckily, the first year I made like $490,000. The second year I made a little over $1 million. The third year I made like $700,000. And the fourth year I made zero. Now you think by the fourth year I'd start learning stuff, in which I did, and understanding, but the market shifted. Boom, shifted. My business stopped making money. And timing and markets play a huge, huge factor in the success of entrepreneurs. Again, a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they get involved in businesses, markets shift, timing's bad, doesn't matter how well they're doing everything else, you're not going to make money. So being in the right place and the right time is really fundamental. Now, this is a great benefit to you because you're in the right place at the timing couldn't be better for you to be involved in the health industry, number one. Number two, how about your timing with Rain? Well, Rain's not a startup anymore. It's risky with any early stage company to get involved. It's definitely higher risk. Rain's far from startup. It's been around. It's growing. It's got a great structure in it. But it's pre-momentum. And I think you all know what that means. So how do you get your timing any better than right now with Rain International, where you've got a solid foundation in the company, but it's pre-momentum? I think we all understand what that means. It's perfect timing. So it's the time, as an entrepreneur, when the timing is right, you want to make hay while the sun's shining. Now is the time to really, really focus and double down and take advantage of this timing, because it's not going to be here forever. A year from now, I hope we're in the middle of momentum. I think it could happen. So now is the time, okay? All right, next thing, right compensation, best talent. When you own a business, you've got to attract the best people you can, and it involves getting the right salary, the right bonuses, the vacation days, the profit sharing. You got to have stock options. I mean, it's really complicated, especially if you're attracting really high-level talented people, because they want all this stuff. And it takes a lot of brain power and a lot of talking with experts and trying to figure out what's the right plan to get these people in and to keep them. And then you're constantly having to make sure that it stays right and you're competitive. It's a lot of work as an entrepreneur, keeping your compensation and incentive plan right for the people that work with you. Well, actually, the lessons from the edge, just as a little side note, this book was a business book written about 20 years ago. There's actually a chapter in the book dedicated to how badly I was at compensating my executives in my company. Because I kept hiring presidents, and they kept not working out because I was trying to hire them for the least amount of money I could get. That was the lesson. Bad idea. You want to get the most expensive people you can get as an entrepreneur. You want to get the most talented people. Well, I finally learned that, and it actually made a big difference as an entrepreneur. Now, one of the great things about everybody in this room is when you're involved with a company that already has a compensation plan for all of the partners that you bring and get involved, you don't have to spend your time and energy on any of those things. It's all done. It's done for you. And it's a great program. As you know, it's a fantastic compensation program because it pays you what you're worth. It pays you exactly how much you're worth. If you're making $1,000 a month, that's how much you're worth. If you're making $100,000 a month, that's how much you're worth. And it's a great compensation plan because there are no limits. There's very few industries and businesses you can get involved in where you have no limits. It's a brilliant, as an entrepreneur, to be able to offer that to people getting involved with you. It's an absolutely huge advantage that you have as an entrepreneur in a growing business, right? So here's your action item in terms of how you implement this and take advantage of it is you need to really learn the RAIN compensation plan. You need to know it inside and out. Every little aspect of it off the top of your head. And trust me, that's a lot easier than trying to figure out salaries, bonuses, vacation days, stock options for every single different kind of employee that you'd ever hire in another kind of a business. So let's get the compensation. Now, I got a news for you, by the way. People that you talk to, they never get tired of learning how they're going to make money. Okay? That's not, that is most people's favorite topic. Okay? So next thing. This is the one thing I don't like about network marketing. It's a small commitment. It only requires a small investment. $500, $1,300. I don't like that. You know why? Because you can just walk away from that fairly easily. And I've got this Subway franchise up here just to show you. If you want to go buy a Subway franchise store, it's going to cost you about an average of $200,000. You know, you can get into them for a little over $100,000 and as much as $260,000, but on average, it's going to cost about $200,000. The average profit for a Subway is about $80,000 a year. That's not bad, but basically you're buying a job. So if you get involved in one of these and you really want to make a living at it as an entrepreneur, you pretty much need to have 3 or 5 at least. So you're now into this $600,000 to $1 million. If you put $600,000 to $1 million into a business, how committed are you to making that work? You're all in. You're committed, right? And their failure rate for this franchise, 4.7%, which means 95% of all the people that do these franchises succeed. How would you like it if the people that you recruited, 95% of them succeeded? Would that make a big difference in how much money you make? You want to know how to do that? Charge them $200,000. Now, unfortunately, we can't do that. But if we could, I think the success rate wouldn't be 95% because I think it's actually easier to be successful in this business than with a franchise, a Subway franchise. I think your success rate would probably be 99%. In fact, network marketing is really a miniature franchise. The reason that franchising is the most successful business model in the history of businesses is because it's a company that goes out, they figure out what the right product is at the right time, they get the compensation right, they get the branding right, they get the system right, they provide the training, and then they teach you how to do it. That's exactly network marketing. That's exactly what RAIN does. They've done the exact same thing, except instead of charging you $200,000, you can get it all for $1,000. Well, that's a problem, actually. That is a fundamental problem of this industry and network marketing as a business model. It's a small commitment. So, you can increase the success rate of yourself and the people, the partners that you bring into this business by trying to figure out ways that you can be more committed, like you'd put $200,000 in. Okay? How do you do that? Well, let's talk about just a couple ways you do that. Number one, you need to write very specific goals. Very specific goals, short term, what you're going to do the next month, midterm, next year, long term, say 3 years. And you need to tell everybody your goals because that's a form of commitment. That's going to raise your commitment. When you make those goals and you tell everybody about them, it makes you more committed to accomplishing that. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to make a goal of how much time and money you're going to invest into this. You know, if you invest $200,000 and you're making $80,000 a year, think, this is another brilliant thing about the network marketing, the RAIN compensation plan. You're not limited to $80,000. That's pretty much, you might make $100,000 if you do really well with that. You can make $100,000 a month with this business. That's right. And people do, and people are. So the last thing I want you to do to help you to up your commitment is, I have find an island here. What did I mean? I want you to find what it is that you dream about. I dreamed about that for many, many years. Is it a beach house? Is it an amazing car you've had your eye on for 10 years? What is it? What is it you want? And I want you to buy it today. Not with real money. but I want you to take a loan from yourself, purchase it, and you have a balloon payment in 3 years. I want you to mentally own that. And then in 3 years, if you don't have the money to pay that loan back, you've lost it. Okay? That's what getting a $200,000 loan to go do Subway is. You know you've got to make it work, right? So let's do whatever you can do to increase your commitment, because if you can increase your commitment, you can get this 95% success rate with yourself and everybody you bring in. It's a fundamental, absolutely critical part of being successful as an entrepreneur. High level of commitment. Okay, the next one's related to it. It's perseverance. Perseverance and resilience. Well, what is resilience? Resilience means you get knocked down and you keep getting back up. Perseverance means it's hard, but you keep going. You climb to a summit and it snows on you, but you keep going, and then you do it again. Being a successful entrepreneur is not easy. This is a quote at the top here from a very famous entrepreneur today. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and looking into the dark abyss. Does anybody know who said that? Anybody? Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of Tesla, the electric car company that's wildly successful. He was really successful, made a ton of money at PayPal, and he's my favorite entrepreneur right now. I love this guy. And this is what he says. It's like eating glass. And why would he say that? Because it's hard. It's not easy being a successful entrepreneur. It takes work, it takes persistence, it takes resilience. I started this company, this QCOM company. It started out, it did well, did poorly, and there were 5 years, I am not exaggerating, where I was on the edge of bankruptcy for 5 years. I don't know if that's a Guinness Book of World Records, but I mean, it was like, there were probably 20 different times during that 5-year period where I did not know how I was going to make payroll the next week, and somehow I did. And there were probably 50 times that somebody could have walked into my office with a dollar bill and said, I'll buy your company for $1, and I would have grabbed it and sprinted out the door. But I couldn't, because I had put everything into this. All the money I'd made was back in the company. My house, I mortgaged to put it back in the company. I was all in. I couldn't let this thing fail because I would lose everything. So that's commitment. When you have a high level of commitment, it helps with the perseverance. I didn't want to persevere through those 5 years. I had to. It was hard. And it turned around. Things went well. And if you keep working, if you keep persevering, good things happen. I'll just quick little funny story here about Verizon. So I was in the telecom space. I'm buying different telecom products from different people. And Verizon, I was buying about $100,000 worth of their telecom products every month, and they merged with this other company, and their accounting systems got together, and my accountant walked in one day and said, they haven't cashed our check from last month because we sent them $5 too much. It didn't match up, and so the money's still in our bank account. And this was during a period of time when things were kind of rough in the company, and I thought, so I want you, until I tell you differently, to overpay $10 on every invoice we get for the next several months. And believe it or not, they didn't cash a check for 12 months. They had $1.2 million worth of my checks that they were letting me use in my bank account, right? And then I finally got a call from their accounting department saying, hey, you owe us $1.2 million. I'm like, no, I don't. You have the checks. You owe me $120 because I just figured out I overpaid you. So, if you keep working hard and you keep persevering, good things happen, and luckily I had the money to pay them. So, are you all in? Right? Are you all in? Are you in? So here's the action item, real simple. I just need you to acknowledge the road ahead is not a smooth road. It's going to be bumpy. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be setbacks. It's not going to be as easy as you want. It's going to take longer than maybe you want, but you keep going. Keep going. You can be successful. This could be a 99% success rate. You just got to keep going. Okay, great salespeople. Entrepreneurs are great salespeople. Doesn't matter what kind of business it is. You've got to sell your investors as an entrepreneur. You've got to sell employees to come and work with you. You've got to sell the vendors to do business with you and give you terms. You've got to sell your customers the product, because when you start a business, you're wearing several different hats, so you don't have the money to go hire salespeople. And if you say, oh, I'm not a good salesperson, well, you know what's going to happen? If you hire good salespeople and you're not a good salesperson, they're going to control your company. That's what they do. They'll drive you crazy. They did with me. I wasn't a good salesperson. I had to go become a good salesperson just to be able to manage my salespeople. Because they're dominant, they're aggressive, they're going to tell you what they want, and they're going to sell you on it. And if you don't have the ability to manage those people, they're going to get everything they want. So you need to be great at sales. Now, sales is like tennis. Some people, yes, have natural gifts where they're better naturally. Everybody can be a great salesperson. It's a skill. You get on a tennis court, some people are better than others, but if everybody practices, you get lessons, every single person can be a good tennis player. It's the same in sales. So this is a lifelong skill that will help you with everything you do in your life. The better you become at sales, the better you're going to be as an entrepreneur and in everything you do. It is not a wasted effort. You're going to get some great sales training today. You're going to continue to get great sales support. But I want everybody here to commit between now and the next year's international convention to read 4 new books on sales. It will do nothing but help you. Can you do that? All right, last thing is great entrepreneurs are purpose-driven. And that attracts really talented people when you're purpose-driven as an entrepreneur. So there's 3 fundamental human needs that we all need and want when we are in the work environment. 1 is an opportunity to learn. We all want to learn stuff. 2 is we want to work in a great social environment, people that we like, people that we enjoy being around. And 3, we want to be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. If you can create that environment as an entrepreneur, the people that work with you will stay with you. Because that's what we all want. That's what we all need. Now, Steve Jobs, he was flawed in many different ways, but one of the things he did brilliantly is he convinced people that Apple was going to change the world. And guess what? He was right. And that's one of the ways he attracted the most talented people and kept them at Apple. Well, think about Rain. What has Rain done for you as entrepreneurs? And it's the same thing that you should be doing as an entrepreneur, as a Rain partner. Rain has an opportunity for you to learn. They provide a great social environment, and you are part of something that's bigger than yourself. We're changing the world. You're making lives better in many different ways. It's a great purpose-driven organization, and you as an entrepreneur can do the exact same thing with everybody that you work with. So the one thing I want you to take away from this is I want you to create a social plan. So how, for your recruits, your partners that you bring into the business, how can you create events and activities that make this a wonderful social environment for them to be a part of? Because we crave that. We like it. That's what keeps us going. That's what gives us the energy during those tough times where we have to persist. Think about a social plan for the people you bring involved. I know that Byron and the guys at Rain, that's a big part of what they do here. It's not just learning. It's about learning and a great social environment. We all crave that. We want it. It's brilliant. And it's about doing something that's bigger than ourselves. It's all right here. You go duplicate that with the people you bring in. Okay, so wildly successful entrepreneurs, what do they all do? They all have great strategies. You have that already. That's a huge advantage you have as an entrepreneur with Rain. They have a high level of commitment. You need to up your commitment. If you up your commitment, you will be successful in this business because it's going to help you to persevere. It's going to help you to take the time to learn how to be a great salesperson, which is fundamentally, and you've now also got a built-in purpose-driven organization that you can be a part of and replicate and create yourself. Take these things, make them a part of you as an entrepreneur, and you can go buy an island. Thank you.